Tertiary food processing. Main causes of increased consumption of processed food. Tertiary food processing is a relatively new way of producing food. Its impact on health has been the frequent object of health studies only recently. Let's explore what led us to consume more processed food. On the demand side we have population growth, increased urbanization, and increased disposable income. These developments have influenced the supply side, especially promotion of trade liberalization, retailing methods, the growth of transnational food corporations, and marketing. The supply side has influenced consumer behavior, food acceptance, and attitude towards food. Demand side. Population growth. As mentioned earlier, the world's population has had an incredible increase in the last 120 years, from 1.5 billion to more than 7 billion people currently. Urbanization. In 1900, only 10% of the total population, or approximately 150 million people, used to live in cities. In 2017, 55% of the total population, corresponding to 4.1 billion people, lived in cities. This means that the urban population has increased by over 27 times in the past 120 years. This explosion has been due to the natural increase of population and rural to urban migration. The urbanization process required different logistics to feed people and gave the food industry a chance to develop itself in the last century. The fast urbanization process often made people move and socialize less, impacting physical and mental health. Increased disposable income. Incomes and standards of living have increased over the past 120 years. The following table compares GDP values per capita from 1900 and 2014 measured in international dollar in 2011 prices. The international dollar is a hypothetical unit of currency used to compare the purchasing power over time, as the value of money differs over time. In this case, we are comparing values using the purchasing power of the year 2011. The GDP per capita has increased by a factor of 3.8 for Argentina, 4.9 for the UK, and a factor of approximately 8.3 for the USA, Austria, and Indonesia. We can also see that whereas the GDP per capita has increased, the economic disparity among countries is in most cases still there. On the supply or producer side, the following happened. Trade policies reduced prices of processed food, made food more available to lower-income people. Transnational food corporations. Urbanization provides the economic environment for the establishment of fast food companies which can target a large population and sell cheap, highly processed food. Food industry marketing. Unregulated and aggressive marketing campaigns changed eating patterns. For example, in the USA in 1945, the ratio of soft drinks consumption to milk consumption was 1:4. 50 years later, the ratio was 2.5:1. On the consumer side, massive changes in consumer behavior, food acceptance, and attitude towards food could be observed. Asia has faced profound changes over the last 20 years. It therefore provides an excellent example of how processed food consumption follows a country's income status. The following charts illustrate the consumption of sugar, fats, and salt in processed food per capita. Whereas in high-income countries, processed food consumption has plateaued, the upper middle income has experienced a steep increase. The upper middle income countries have almost reached the level of processed food consumption of high-income countries. In the lower middle income countries, the consumption of processed food is still low. Yet it will not take too long for them to increase to the consumption levels of the upper middle income countries. If we look at the consequences, processed food availability was shown to be a predictor of obesity. Also, a review of 19 European countries from 1991 to 2008 confirmed this trend. Some results of the European comparison were: Processed food availability was the lowest in Portugal and Italy, with 10.2% and 13.4% of total edible household products. The prevalence of obesity was below 10% in Italy and around 15% in Portugal. Germany and the UK had the highest processed food availability with 46.2% and 50.4% of total edible household products. The prevalence of obesity was around 20% in Germany and 25% in the UK. What do you think about this?